This screencast is about an F probability distribution. When we say a random variable x is distributed with an F distribution, having df1 degrees of freedom for the numerator and df2 degrees of freedom for the denominator, what we are saying is the probability distribution for the random variable is shaped as pictured here. As in the case of any probability distribution, the total area under the graph is 1. That corresponds to a probability of 1. For an F distribution, the value of the random variable is 0 until you get up to a value of 0, after which it is always positive. The actual shape of the probability distribution changes slightly as the degrees of freedom for the numerator or the degrees of freedom for the denominator change. An example of an F distribution is MSA over MSW. That would be distributed as a F distribution with C minus 1 degrees of freedom for the numerator and N minus C degrees of freedom for the denominator. Here is a problem. The random variable x here that we're thinking about is actually the MSA over MSW that we talked about in our analysis of variance hypothesis test. If x is distributed with an F distribution with 1 degree of freedom for the numerator and 8 degrees of freedom for the denominator, find the probability that x is greater than or equal to the number 10.98901. This is the p-value for our to-store example. Here's a picture of the problem we're doing. Here's an F distribution with 1 degree of freedom for the numerator and 8 degrees of freedom for the denominator. Here is the probability that x will be greater than 10.98901. 10.98901 is a value down here on the x-axis, and the probability is the area to the right of 10.98901. There is an F table in our textbook that could possibly be used to estimate this p-value. It's cumbersome to use, and it's probably worthwhile to simply open up an Excel spreadsheet and compute the p-value on Excel. Here's how to do that. I'll open up a spreadsheet and just go through it. Here's a spreadsheet blowing up larger than we usually see it. Here's column B, row 1 cell. If we want to compute the probability for an F18 distribution that x exceeds the value of 10.98901, we can simply plug in the function equals f dist, and Excel has already identified the only one that we could have used once we got the FD in there. Parent, put in the actual x value that we're trying to compute the probability to the right of, 10.98901, separator, degrees of freedom for the numerator, that was 1, degrees of freedom for the denominator, that was 8, and if we tab out of that box, we should have the p-value we're looking for, 0.01062. And of course, if you wanted more decimal point accuracy, or less for that matter, you could go up to number and simply ask for a different decimal place accuracy. That's about all we have to do on the F distribution.